So again, going to summarize 2 or 3 questions that came in on the same subject, but essentially it is to frack or not to frack. That is the question.
Start with Kevin. Rotate. Well, I could probably answer this question in 5 seconds. I don't need a timer. I don't think we should be fracking here in New York State, especially in Ulster County. There's a lot of environmental reasons why we shouldn't be doing them, a whole list of them. I don't have time to go through them all. It's a danger to our water supply. We do need energy here in the Hudson Valley. Our electric prices, our fuel prices are high. That gas is a little bit low right now. You know, it's odd to say that gas at $3.30 a gallon is low, but you know, we look at that as a bargain in today's world. But the short answer is I would vote to ban fracking in New York. It's several votes in the county against fracking. I'm proud of that, and you know, I don't know. I don't think I need 2 minutes to explain that.
Okay, down to Frank.
Yes, I say don't frack with New York. I think it's naive for us to continue to rely on finite resource and kick the can down the road, so to speak, because our environment, indeed, the very same elements that created us and sustain us are in danger, whether it's soil, whether it's water, whether it's the air, whether it's the food. How can we really take chances and play Russian roulette by allowing fracking and destroying the largest economy in the state of New York, which is agriculture, $5 billion agriculture? Why would you want to do that? And of course, once the water is contaminated, how would you fix that? I mean, 5-10 years ago, I never thought about buying bottle of water. What is the next thing? What's going to happen? Are we going to be buying bottle of air? So there are many health issues that are related to fracking. Although the results are not in yet, but I don't think we can afford to gamble like that. And I think energy is important to all of us, is really all around us. And we just have to find creative ways to utilize alternative sources of energy rather than rely on fracking. Thank you.
I think New York State has some of the most stringent environmental laws in the country. I think we need to look toward these to determine. I think individually we should refer back to the laws, as well as let the local communities decide if fracking is right for them. Again, I don't think this should be based on a state level. I think the local communities decide if it is right for them. Safety is a concern, and that should always be our #1 concern. But at the same time, I think more importantly, we need to look at the fact that this issue has been to frack or to not to frack for so long. Why isn't there a decision made already? Why haven't we come to a decision? Why don't we hold our representatives accountable to make a decision one way or the other, so that we can stop having the same debates over and over the same thing? Because this isn't a new issue. It needs to be decided on, and the people deserve a decision.
You want to go first, or you want me to go? Okay, ladies first. This is a complex issue, and of course right now there's not going to be any fracking at all, not even any horizontal fracking in the New York City watershed areas, which is most of the southern tier of the 101st Assembly District. But we've been doing what they call vertical hydrofracking in the state of New York for at least 30 years, and we've been exploring natural gas and oil for over 50 years in the state of New York. And most of that gas and oil is being sent to New York City because they don't want any fracking. So it's an absurdity to say that we just can't have any fracking. Although I do have to say that as a person who represents people who have hundreds and thousands of acres of farmland, we do have to be very careful about some of the unfair, I should say, disproportionate relationships between big companies coming in and taking advantage of farmers, which is why Sakima talked about the local governments having the opportunity to make a decision on that. And right now those cases are pending in the court. Middlefield, which is right in the heart of the 101st Assembly District, is one of those cases who's fought for its individual rights in its case to ban fracking, and that's something that has to be determined by the courts. But if we can do it safely, and that's the question, can we do it safely in the Marcellus and Utica Shale? Some of the determination isn't out. but it's being done safely in parts of the country. So far, we haven't gotten a study that has proven that there is contamination to water caused by the process of fracking. The contamination in Dimock, Pennsylvania has been caused by the dumping of excess fracking fluid directly into the rivers due to a lack of regulation. DEC in New York State does not have the resources to monitor this right now. So there are a lot of complex questions associated with fracking. Those are just, some of my concerns about it. But I mean, if we could do it safely and we could make sure that our family farms, many of whom have lost their farms because of the state of New York, we should be able to consider allowing them to do it if we think we can do it safely. And with that, the jury's still out on that. Thanks.
So it does get back to the issue of safety, and just to premise, in my opinion, we're stewards. So we have a responsibility to feed and clothe and care for our people. We also have the responsibility to make sure we don't foul our own nest and that our resources are available for future generations. So I think that has to be the premise for any of this discussion. Energy is an enigma for all of us. There is no state master plan. There's no direction. There's no sense of where we go as a society to improve energy efficiency and alternate sources. I'd like to see more renewables. I'd like to see microgrids. I'd like to see creating energy and using it where we live and work, rather than relying on mammoth grids and foreign companies who really don't care about us, who control we're on umbilical cords, folks. We're like babies attached to an umbilical cord. I'd like to see us get off that, for one, and provide more flexibility locally. In terms of fracking, bottom line is, if it's not safe, don't do it. The most compelling testimony that I've heard really was from the U.S. Geologic Survey, which is probably one of the most apolitical groups I've ever encountered. Their point was twofold. One, the state has made tremendous progress with its regulations. So they feel that New York State, on paper, has put itself in a more stringent environment for fracking than any other state in the nation. The thing they said, however, is that they have two concerns. One, with well casing. They're not sure that the well casing methodology is sound. So if that fails, then we have groundwater contamination. The other piece is, in terms of benchmarking existing groundwater aquifers, they feel more has to be done. So we know before what it's like before. So if there is fracking, they can monitor over time and test for any changes in the groundwater. So they suggest we have more work to do. We're not there yet. That was their observation, and I agree with that.
My position on using fracking technology to extract natural gas is not based upon a bumper sticker. It's not based upon a public opinion poll. It's based upon about 6 or 7 years of research on the subject back before the word was even invented. I'm not anti-gas. I'm not anti-energy, but I am pro-water. And as long as our water is at risk, we have to be extremely careful. And that's what we haven't done in New York State yet. We've had health department studies of other state studies, but we've never done a study of our own to see how it would impact our aquifer. We are a water-rich environment, but we're looking at studies that talked about Texas. We're an environment where we have a density of population across this state that exceeds most countries in the world, yet we're looking at the sparsely populated state of Pennsylvania. We need to do our own studies, and we haven't done that. That's why I sponsored and supported a moratorium for 5 years, and at the end of that 5 years, we should determine whether we have protected our water completely. Not maybe, completely. We don't need it. The natural gas prices today do not even support the cost of extracting and delivering natural gas to the marketplace. It's actually being operated at a loss right now. It would not help lower energy costs. That's a myth. The alternatives that are available, however, are many and vast. We can bring about new energy in the state of New York by saving the energy that we have right now. I beg to differ with my colleague Pete Lopez, and I will remind him that he voted for it, but as a result of action by the state legislature, we do in fact have a state energy master plan. We created it a few years ago, and it's been implemented right now and has resulted in a number of different measures, including the advancement of solar in this state, including the Green Jobs, Green New York program that is already well on the way toward creating more energy efficient homes for over 1 million homes and small businesses in this state. There's a lot more we can do with energy before we ruin our water, and we shouldn't do that.